Okay, last phase, what we want to do is, this is rib 6 and rib 7. We want to attach the cartilage like you see in typically on a rib cage. So we want to simulate this idea here. So there's a couple ways we can do it. The way I'm going to show you is, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get this object, this rib 7, and I'm going to do the same thing we did earlier. I'm going to insert an edge loop again here. I'm going to go with that edge loop still selected, change my axis to world, and just in all dimensions shrink that in a little bit. And then raise it up a little bit. That gives me a nice little rib. So then I'm going to look to get the edge. So I have that edge loop now, and I'm just going to say fill that hole. And now I'm going to try to get, because I built that extra edge loop, I added that extra, now I should have a way of doing this. First thing I do is just going to hide this circle for a second, because the software seems to be getting confused between the circle and the polygon when I try to do this. So I'm going to switch to vertex, since we didn't have any luck doing this in the earlier one. I'm going to try my best. Make sure I only have that one, those two selected. Connect. I honestly have no idea why it's giving me such a hard time. But I have to use kind of alternate strategy to get these things to select. Which unfortunately is something you have to deal with Maya. Here I'm going to use the paint tool, the paint selection tool, so that I can only select the camera view, the thing really at the edge. Now I'm not going to worry too much about the end here, because that's going to be buried inside the sternum. So let's bring the sternum back out so we can see it as a reference. Okay, and just as a caution, let's save. So we're at this point. We don't want to have to go backwards if we crash. That's the old file I wrote. I didn't like what was going on. All right, so I'm going to say object now, and I'm going to select my rib. Reset this so to make sure there's nothing in the selection tool that's not working for me. All right, so I have the two ribs selected. I'm going to combine them under mesh combine. So now the software sees them as one. And then I'm going to grab some faces here. Go back to my paintbrush. Let's just take 1, 2, 3. Let's make sure I don't have that edge. Okay. And I have those faces. I'll say delete. So now I have a hole there, right? I'm going to go down below. And I think what I'll do before, I don't know if I can use this circle anymore. I have a feeling this circle is pretty much going to be ineffective in doing anything at this point, because I combine the objects. I'm wrong. Still has a history there. So what I'm trying to do is kind of reposition this edge a little more under that hole I just made, right? Okay. Uh, what happened to my edge loop that I made there? Did I get rid of it? So they're just somehow. Oh, I see. When I did the join connect, it messed this up a little bit. Okay. Okay. For some reason that fell apart. Let's pause and see if I can fix this. So we're back to where we were. I've got to go back, get the object here. We're considered still an object. We've got a hole in rib 6. I've deleted faces right down here. You can see that hole. So I'm going to try my best to select 3 faces here that are consistent. Now, go back to object mode here, and I'm going to say mesh tools and append to polygon. You notice those two edges of those holes kind of get thick, so I'm going to select there and select here. And now I could try using bridge. I'm not convinced that bridge would work here because I didn't close the other end of this rib cage. And if you look real carefully, watch when I say append. I see that edge back there light up. See the edge that would articulate with the vertebra? It lights up. So I think the software, I would have had to close that and then maybe I could bridge, but to try to just get this to work more reasonable for you in terms of time. I missed one there? Yeah, I did. I didn't get the right edge there, I'm sorry. That's the right edge. And so each time I'm just clicking on the edge that's opposite. Now, just because that's a big distance, I think what I'll also do, what I mean by a big distance is, this size of these quads compared to the ribs, very really very disproportionate. You know, I had these long, thin ones instead of these square ones. So I've made quads to make that square. I want to just adjust the components so I can just shrink that in a little bit. And now, see, now we've got that. Put the sternum back on here. And now you've got the idea. Now, obviously, you're going to have to do a lot more as you start working through the rest of this collection, but it's the same idea. So I would build one more rib, and you might then could literally build just a straight polygon, like a thin polygon cube, or tall, thin polygon cube, and then just have these ends of your loft work with the size there, or work with a hole in that. Or you can do like I did, just make another rib that goes like that, and then join it here, make another rib that goes like that, and join it there, like that. You may find, the 480, the only thing sometimes I've seen with that is it seems to work no problem. 480 is really an arbitrary number. You can experiment. If you're finding that this is too complicated, there's too many faces here for you to want to deal with, then you can go ahead and try changing. I don't think, go back to my option mode, I don't think my history is still going to work, but I'm going to try it one more time just out of curiosity. Oh boy, it does. That's great. Like I said, most of the time this is not the case. In the newer Maya, these newer versions, they seem to have worked out a way that you can make a lot more modifications and yet still still see it. So you can see where this guy, this one we made here, is a little bit out of sorts. It's a little too. Just be careful when you start this that you look to start making your saves soon, because in my mind I'm getting away with an awful lot of stuff that normally I wouldn't get away with. No, there's Maya's letting me work with this history well beyond when I've made these changes. Generally that's not the case. So if I'm going to do something that I'm a little apprehensive about, what I'm going to do is save that file first and then try it. Okay. So see, look what happened when I did that. See, I lost my connection there. Let's see if I can get it. There you go. So if I wanted to make that modification, I think it would let me use an edge and a lot of soft select. So it doesn't seem to have a problem with that in terms of the trying to get an edge loop. Let me pull this out, maybe make it a little smaller. So you can see where the history is a little more of an advantage. Especially once you've connected these, it's going to be tough for me to fix this without becoming uneven. It's very important then you keep every version, keep saving as you're working, so you can go back just a little bit. If you don't like that, you got to go back to the spot before you combine it maybe or something. Okay. So that's our lesson for right now, at least on that. I just want to try this one more time, see if that So if I move that in, see what happened there? See how it started to fall apart? Let's try. I'm trying to explain. There's a limit to how much you can do with a polygon. And with a NURB, you'd have a lot more flexibility. It wouldn't give you that grief. But with a polygon, you pretty much hit a window or a limit. Okay? That's not bad. At least that gives you the demonstration of how to do those basic steps. And now you can complete them on your own.